Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Looking at Imam Ghazali's definitions of different types of reason, and we are still at the first type of reason where he defines reason as an instrument through which um, mediated knowledge is sought. And last time we looked at the definition of last time we looked at the saying of Asad al-Muhasabi in the definition of reason, in this sense that it is characteristic or power or faculty through which inferential knowledge is sought, and it is as if it is that is reason in this sense is a light which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in human consciousness, and through which human consciousness is prepared to know things around it, that is, the factual things, or maybe practical things as well. So we had done last time this much. So now today we are going to start with considering the opinion of those who have rejected this definition, or who have objected to this definition, and Imam Ghazali responds to those critics within his own school esteems. So now he starts considering the opinion of those who, or criticism of this definition. So, and he starts with it saying, "Walam yunsif man ankara haza." Those who deny these, that is, the fact that reason is an instrument for receiving or getting at theoretical knowledge, or inferential knowledge, to be precise. So those who have rejected reason as an instrument through which inferential knowledge or mediated knowledge is achieved, those people haven't they haven't been fair to this definition. They haven't fairly assessed this definition, or they haven't they didn't consider this definition on its own merit, and there were some other unstated reasons for them rejecting this reason. And those people who have rejected this reason, they think that reason is actually knowledge of certain type. وَرَدَّ الْعَقْلَ إِلَى مُجَرَّدِ الْعُلُومِ الضَّرُورِيَّةِ. So there are two things here. We need to know why some people reject the fact that reason why do they faculty or a power. And the second thing is, what makes them say that reason is necessary knowledge. And necessary knowledge would here seem to mean by necessary knowledge we mean al-ilm ad-daruri here, such as the knowledge about the principle of non-contradiction, for example, or knowledge, for example, 2 plus 2 is 4, not 5, for example. So necessary knowledge probably is knowledge of those basic rules without which human rationality or rationality cannot work. So, for example, the belief in consistency, for example. So, by necessary knowledge or al-ilm al-daruri, we or they might mean the knowledge of the basic principles which are necessary for reason to function in the first place. For example, that something cannot be in its totality red and white at the same time. Or, for example, all men are mortal can't be believed at the same time as some men are not mortal, because that will involve oneself in a contradiction. So there are two questions here. First is why someone would reject the notion that reason is a faculty or an instrument through which we acquire inferential or mediated knowledge. That's the first question. And second question is what they put instead of this definition. So, for example, is that reason is knowledge, a particular type of knowledge. Knowledge of basic rules of rationality. And that knowledge can be seen as, although from this discussion it's not clear, it can be either seen as part of the structure of mind, or it can be seen as more like innate knowledge, knowledge with which we are born, but this knowledge is activated only once we, grow up and deal with, and our mind is developed and deal with the things around us. So that's the reason. That's their definition of risk. So why? So these are two things Imam Ghazali is discussing here. So walam yunsif man ankara haza. So whoever denies this definition is not fair. And who are those people who have denied this? It has been, said that Imam Al-Haramain, who is Imam Ghazali's own teacher, he might have objected to this definition, and even some people have attributed it to Imam Ashari, Abul Hasan Ali Ashari, who is the founder of the Ashari school of Kalam. He might have said that reason is actually the necessary knowledge and not an instrumental power. And although Imam Ghazali doesn't say it explicitly here, but Asharis might have ulterior motives to deny this definition, in the sense that they don't want to say that the definition of knowledge as reason as a faculty Asharis were keen to assert that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is the creator. Even the creator of human actions. And humans don't have any self-subsistent power. So every time human beings do something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates power in them or action in them, and then they act on those actions if they want to. And probably because of that reason, they didn't want to assert that there is an self-subsistent power. Called reason, through which human beings can know the world around them. And probably some of them thought that the notion of reason as faculty is incompatible with, I'm just speculating at this time, this moment, they might have thought that the notion of reason as a faculty somehow involves the notion of self-sufficiency of reason. But I think you don't need to ascribe to the self-sufficiency of reason just because you consider reason as a faculty. In another word, what I am saying is the notion of reason as a faculty is compatible with both whether you consider reason as self-sufficient or whether you consider reason as not self-sufficient. So it doesn't really have any bearing on its own. So both those people who consider reason as self-sufficient and those people who don't consider reason as self-sufficient can actually ascribe to the notion of reason as faculty. And just because you say that there's a power which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in human beings through which they are able to receive or to seek mediated knowledge or inferential knowledge, doesn't mean that this power is self-sustaining. Because if this is your, as Imam Ghazali argues as well in the following, if this is your objection, then this objection can be on other faculties as well, like for example life. Or the power of movement, all those things. So the way we theorize life, the way we theorize the power of movement, the same way we can theorize the power to grasp things, power of cognition. So it's not necessary for Ash'ari to deny the notion of reason as a power or faculty. So that's the first thing. You can theorize your notion of power or faculty in such a way that it doesn't involve a belief in the self-sustaining nature of that faculty. That power is endowed in human beings, but it is being constantly sustained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his plan. And like any other thing, it's sustained by him. It's not self-sustaining at all. Nothing is self-sustaining in that sense. So we don't have to involve. We don't have to actually deny the notion of power in order to believe in the belief that nothing is sustaining in this world except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whatever power is created, it is created and sustained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can argue whether it is created every moment, as Ash'aris say, or it is created or sustained continuously. The notion of the total dependence of creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be theorized in many ways. And how it actually occurs is beyond our grasp, really, because that belongs to the divine realm, even beyond metaphysical realm. Okay, so those who deny this definition, they are not fair for these reasons. And they say reason is actually knowledge. And we went into that. And by reason, they mean knowledge necessary knowledge. Which means the basic knowledge which is the condition of the possibility of the functioning of reason in 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 the sense of faculty. So we can say that reason as a faculty presupposes reason in the sense of necessary knowledge. And this necessary knowledge can again be theorized either as intuitive knowledge, or this can also be theorized as structure. This would be something similar to what Kant called a priori knowledge. So those people who believe in this sort of knowledge, they shouldn't deny reason in the sense of faculty. What they need to say is that reason is a faculty, and this faculty requires certain innate knowledge to function. Certain a priori knowledge to function. And that knowledge can either be understood as the structure of our mind, or innate knowledge which stay dormant in human mind until the human grows up. And then once human grows up and develops his or her brain, it can actually tap into that resource. And that knowledge is actually indispensable condition or necessary condition for the function of reason in the sense of a faculty. So in that sense, they don't have to deny reason as the faculty to actually claim that reason as a necessary knowledge. Because reason as a necessary knowledge, if we define it the way I have defined, is actually the condition of the possibility of reason as a faculty. Okay, I think we should stop here. Let's go back to the text. So, فالأول والوصف الذي يفارق الإنسان به سائر البهائم. In the first sense, by reason we mean that characteristic which differentiates human being from other animals, and this characteristic is through which human beings actually become prepared to receive a mediated knowledge, and the knowledge of the practical knowledge, and are able to manage or execute their thought in practical matter. And this is the characteristic which is defined by Asad al-Muhasibi in his definition of reason as a faculty through which we cognize mediated knowledge, and it can be seen as a light which is inculcated in human consciousness, through which he or she is able to understand things around herself. And those who have denied this sense of reason as a sense in the sense of faculty, they are not fair to this concept, and They have denied this because they claim that reason is just necessary knowledge and not a faculty. But as we saw, there's no incompatibility in believing that reason is both necessary knowledge as well as the faculty of faculty through which we understand the world around us, and the faculty through which we acquire mediated knowledge, because this faculty actually requires the basic rational structure to function in the first place. And that basic structure can be seen as innate knowledge or necessary knowledge of the basic principles which are indispensable for understanding rationality. Okay, well, let's stop here and we'll continue from here.